This is my 2020 Triumph Bonneville T120 Ace Cafe Special Edition. Alright, so quick walk around of my Ace Cafe T120. So for those of you who don't know, this is supposed to be a special edition, I think one of 1,400 made, and it comes with a letter of certification from Triumph, along with a specific number. I don't know if I buy into all that stuff. What I really wanted was I wanted a T120 Black, and this is the one they had. And I gotta tell you, the paint scheme, everything on it really is, well, I love it all. I ain't gonna lie, I'm still in the honeymoon phase, but I can tell you some things about the bike, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick go over of some of the mods I've already done and what I have planned. So it is the 1200 HT engine, and the black version comes adorned with these black faux carburetor intake covers, some other subdued parts, obviously the engine cases. This Ace edition comes with the blacked out 4-bar Triumph logo. Also comes with blacked out downpipes, these inspection covers on both sides. This bike sort of includes all of that. Let's see what else they included. They include the upgraded LED turn signals. I'll give you a shot of what those look like. Now this is super bright in the day right now. So there's the hazard lights on. And something else that they did was they did an integrated brake and taillight system here. Brake, taillight, and turn signal. So there is no center brake light. Instead, they've got this brushed aluminum piece right here. And as of yet, the jury's still out on that. I'm not sure if I dig or not. And one of the reasons is that your standard tail tidy kit that you might purchase from somewhere else simply can't go on there. Now this thing came with what was dubbed as the factory tail tidy kit. I'll insert some pictures of what that looked like. It was really long, and you know, it came down to about right here, and just all sorts of gaudy reflectors on it and stuff, and I really wasn't into that. So I took the mounting bracket, I flipped it upside down from what the original was, remounted the license plate light on it, and then I chopped off all that plastic and reattached it, and this was as short as I could make it without modifying the cavity that's underneath here, which houses the wiring for this light right here, and some of the wiring that's tucked away for these indicators. Let's see, the other thing it comes with are the black coils on the suspension, which I'll be changing out. Definitely gonna do a suspension upgrade this time. As I've said before, I think this is my forever bike, so I'm definitely gonna set it up the way I want it. The other thing it comes with is it comes from the factory with this Triumph stitched low seat. It's the I think it's commonly referred to as a slammer seat or brat seat, but normally I think the T120 Black comes with sort of a brown, and it's a sculpted seat. So there's that. Some of the changes I've made to it. Let's see, I transferred these over from my Scrambler. I'll probably go for something a little more high-end, but as crowded as my garage is right now, I like the fold away. If you bump into them, they don't break, or you don't lose your setting. What are the other mods? Really, that was it. with the exception of the exhaust. So I think by now everyone's familiar. There is this catalytic converter that sits underneath here in the cross pipe, and it really restricts a lot of the sound and flow of the exhaust. So it had those really large blacked out pea shooters. The tailpipe stuck out almost to where the tire reaches. But honestly, you just could not hear the bike. And you guys know me, I like a decent sounding exhaust. Everything that I've read online, the forums, videos, said that even if you went out and bought the Predator Pros and spent, you know, $600–700, or even the Vance and Hines, you throw them on here and you don't get much of a different sound without replacing that catalytic converter. I'm not going to replace the catalytic converter until the bike has had its first couple of services. I want it to go through its normal break-in cycle, and then I'll change something like that. But for now, I found these Shorty pipes on Dime City Cycles. And at Dime City Cycles, these things are $35 a piece. They come with a silver bracket. I just scuffed it up, and then I used some exhaust paint, or I think it's also paint that people use for painting barbecue grills, and did a couple coats on it, and then used that bracket right behind the standard mounting location. I'm here to tell you, if there's questions about it, I'll do a more extensive review on these exhausts. But I can, if you're thinking about it, go look at Dime City Cycle. The larger aperture end, I think, is 1.5 inch, fits right over top of the graphite sleeve that's here from the factory when you take your factory silencers off. Tucks right in behind the shielding, so you can't even see where it connects. The matte finish on it looks just like the exhaust shielding over here. I mean, I don't know, the bracket could look a little nicer, but other than that, to me, this looks almost like it would have been factory. It's that kind of quality. So for $35 per silencer, this is probably the cheapest exhaust mod you could do to this bike, short of just pulling the factory silencers off. Now, this did improve the sound. I don't know that it's any louder, but I think with the tailpipes being shorter, the rider can hear the exhaust on the bike a little better. So it sounds a little deeper than the factory exhaust, and a little bit louder, but I'm still not waking up my neighbors or anything like that when I fire it off at 5 o'clock in the morning on my way to work. So that's the deal there. There's only one other little modification that has to be done for that, and that is on the left side of your factory exhaust has a little hanger that holds a rubber stopper, so that when your center stand comes up, it rests against the exhaust. Well, in place of that, I was watching the installation of a British Customs Shorty pipe, and they sell a little L bracket, and all you do is transfer the rubber from the bottom of your stock can to that little L bracket, and then they mount it in a mounting spot right there, right down there below the radiator reservoir. They mount it right there, that was a secondary attachment point for the pipe on this side, which gave a little more rigidity for the center stand to swing up. So once I saw that, I just went out and got a galvanized L bracket and drilled a hole big enough to take the rubber stopper, mounted it right there, and that's where my center stand rests now. So it doesn't bang against this pipe, and it doesn't bang against this reservoir tank either. So all in all, I'm maybe into this exhaust easily less than $100. And to me, I don't know, I think it sounds pretty good. There's no way to capture it with these cameras over the internet and videos and such, but you trust me, it sounds a lot better. So if you don't want to spend a ton of money and you want to see if maybe the X pipe is worth it to you or not, well, these little pipes right here look and sound pretty good in my opinion, and are a worthy effort. The only other mod I've done besides the tail tidy and the exhaust there was I mounted my SW-Motech Legend bag, which I absolutely need because I commute to work every single day. On rainy days or bad weather and such, I'll take the Tiger, But any other time I'm riding the Bonneville, and I needed something just to carry a handful of things that I didn't want to have in my pockets or load down my jacket. Some issues with this. First of all, I could do a whole review on the Legend gear. I actually really like the bag and how it hooks up. It comes off real easy here. I'm holding the camera while I'm detaching it. There's a little thumb detachment right there. You click that and everything lifts off. This is so you can see the bracket. For those of you looking at this bracket right here is the same bracket you buy for the 2016 to 2018 Triumph Bonneville T120. Sorry about the camera handling there. But because this bike comes stripped of the rider grab rails, you have to get this additional bracket right here. And this additional bracket, they don't sell it in the United States anymore. Everywhere I looked, it was sold out. So I had to buy it from a place called SW-Motech, which is a German company. And thanks to Google Translate, I was able to find it. I ordered it and they got it to me in about 2 weeks. And even still, it's not a perfect fit. When you go to put everything together, you have to leave it loose. And then you run the risk of it touching the turn signal here. The turn signal and brake indicator. You can see this one doesn't. And that's because I actually had to shape it a little bit. Once I had everything together, it was slightly touching it. And so I just basically, I took this piece right here, I put it in my bench vise and just kind of leaned on a little bit to reshape it. It makes everything kind of tight. So it worked out. If you're not comfortable doing that with it, then you know, you might want to think of a different system or wait until SW-Motech comes out with something better. But for right now, it doesn't touch the indicator. I'm happy with it. And this thing is real easy to hook up. You just line those 3 slots and you snap it down and it's done. So that's it. That's the close-up look of my Bonneville T120 Black Ace Cafe Special Edition. All the special badging and all that good stuff. You know, like I said, I wasn't necessarily looking for this particular scheme, but it's what they had, and I gotta tell you, it's a beautiful bike. There's just, the engine is everything they say it is. It pulls really good. I got a couple mods coming up. Obviously the cap pipe is going to get replaced. What else is coming? The cap pipe is getting replaced. I ordered the Thruxton R sprocket, which will lower the gearing a little bit. And I know people will hear that and say, what? But it's a 6-speed, and 6th gear at 70 miles an hour. I think you're barely sitting around 3,000 RPM. It's not going to change that much. And seeing as how I use my Triumph Tiger for highway riding, and this, if I needed to jump up on a highway, even with that taller sprocket, I would be able to do just fine. From going to the websites and looking up how I can expect the sprocket to change the bike's performance, all indications are that it, at 60, 70 or 75 miles an hour, it'll raise the RPM by about 300, a little less than 300. I can live with that for the extra little scoot you get off at the bottom end, so I'm okay with that. This bike really is just to bust around the city, bust around town, and not that it needs the power. It'll move under its own, trust me. But just something to liven things up between that and the X-pipe change out and the future suspension. I got the I've got a desire to put the Tech rear shocks on there with the black. So as I was saying, the rear suspension, I'm going to get the Tech full length with the black reservoir. It'll be all blacked out, which will match the bike, but that's supposedly their best suspension, which is still cheaper than a lot of others. And the front fork upgrade with the progressive springs and maybe some preload adjustment. Not sure how that's going to work yet. I had immediately when I got this bike, I bumped the preload up to about the third click up. When it came to me from the factory, it was set on its lowest setting. I'm a big guy and I was used to being a lot bigger, so I really cranked it up there because I used to be pushing 350 pounds. And being 125 pounds lighter now, I had to sort of readjust myself. I'm only one tick up from the base setting, and I found that that gives me enough of the static sag when the bike's sitting on its own weight, and it doesn't buck, doesn't jostle you as much as previous versions of the Bonneville. The other thing that's really incredible, besides the bike's motor and the looks of it, are this clutch. Now this is still a cable clutch, but I cannot explain to you how they've done it. But this has to be the lightest clutch ever. I mean, I keep looking around. There's got to be hydraulics or something, right? You can't even find one of those little gimmicks where it's the easy clutch, where it installs an extra pulley somewhere in line on the cable. No gimmicks like that I can find, but the clutch is super, super light. So light, in fact, that it took me a while to get used to, because I would go to you know, you go to take off and you're just not getting the same force feedback that you would when you have the cable straining against you as you're letting out on the clutch. So it took a little bit to get used to, but yeah, no, it's a great bike. Welcome to the Bonneville T120 Black family. Thanks for watching. This is my Triumph Bonneville. Wait,